This is a continuation of the Add Insert Extra Bones and Improve Joint Animation tutorial, or from any of the tutorials in this series where the head is left with this structure. Switch into modeling mode and zoom in on the head. If you already have a face like the face from our Add a Simple Face tutorial, you'll probably want to delete the mouth. The eyes and eyebrows can be kept, but it will be easier to work with them hidden from view. Hiding them can be done by clicking the bunny to show all the control cages, and then clicking the cages we don't want to see by clicking on them, followed by clicking the brown hat. With the targeted cages hidden, select everything and then click the piggy. This is where we'll be inserting the new control lines to form the eyes and mouth. OK, with that understood, click the Insert Control Line button and then click here to begin the point where we want to insert the control line. Click here to divert the line so that it loops back to where we began, and then click Done. We want to delete all the patches inside the line we just inserted. We can do this by first toggling into Accumulate Selection mode, and then while holding down the Shift key, click all control points inside the loop. Click this button to delete the patches. Now let's create the eye sockets. Click the Insert Control Line button and then click here for where we want the insertion to begin. Divert the line around these two control points and then click Done. Same as for the mouth, delete the patches inside the loop. Drag these points to form the eye sockets. Insert a control line beginning here and then click here to divert back to the other eye, and then click Done. And we want another line inserted here from the ear to the mouth. My character doesn't look that bad with this big open smile, but I want to begin by showing how to make a smaller, simpler, Android-like mouth, because it's much easier to make it look cute. If you have it looking good at an early stage, it's generally much easier to experiment with and keep it pleasing to the eye than it is to experiment with something you don't like the look of. But don't worry if you can't get it to look good at an early stage, just give it time. If you practice each day, it is inevitable you'll get some results better than others. By continuing to work on your better results, your models will continue to evolve more to your liking. Don't delete any work on a whim. Feelings change. What looks bad in the moment, especially after a lengthy art session, can look very different with a different state of mind. Insert a line very close to the opening in the mouth, and then using the Ring Select tool, select the last ring. With a side-on view, drag the ring in, or use the dim filter, which allows us to see how the mouth looks from an angle like this while we drag it in. OK, we don't want the dim filter anymore, so click the dim filter button again to toggle it off. Insert another ring to get a sharper curve going into the opening to get that cute Android-like mouth. Much the same for the eye sockets, insert a ring close to the opening and select the last ring and drag it in. The eye sockets left with this structure are fine for a simple face, however I can't resist inserting a control line going from the ear and diverted into the sockets, which will allow for greater control in shaping more realistic eyes. Eyebrows and eyeballs can be added the same way as shown in the Add a Simple Face tutorial, or if you already have them, just click the piggy to show them. Now that we have eye sockets for the eyeballs, our head is much more well suited for spherical eyeballs rather than button eyes, so if you prefer spherical eyeballs, which are easier to animate, you may want to create new ones without squashing them, but squashed eyeballs can look better if you want your character to have very large eyes. Now our task is to make the eye sockets fit around the eyes. Hide the eye and eyebrow control cages to prevent accidental dragging. Toggling out of Z buffer control cage mode lets us see the control points hidden by the eyes. When using the rectangle select tool like this, I don't worry much about accidentally selecting control points from the back of the head because they can be fixed relatively easily. However, we can avoid unintentionally dragging points by checking that the pivot point is close to the intended selected points. If it isn't, then we know we've selected some points elsewhere. To unselect points, use the rectangle select tool with both the Control and Shift keys held down. When checking for gaps around the eyes, it's important to view the head from different angles. Because the polygons are only visible from one side, the mouth's opening allows us to see right through the head. We can avoid this by adding an inward-facing dome behind the mouth. To do this, add an herbs lathe and shape it as a dome. Add the points in the opposite direction of the spindle's arrow so that the dome's polygons are visible looking into the inward-facing dome. Click the End SP checkbox so that the dome ends at a single point. Color the dome black and convert it into a patch set with 6 control staves. Position and shape the dome with Z buffer control cage mode off so that we can see the cage inside the head. Shape the dome to ensure the mouth opening is covered without any of it appearing outside of the head. Now let's color the eye's irises and pupils using the eye's color sweeps. Toggle into Click Patch to select Cage mode and then click on the eye. This not only shows the cage for the eye's patch, it also selects the patch, allowing us to open the control panel specifically for this patch, which can be done by clicking the cog. Click this button to open the color sweep. To center the view to a color sweep's control point, click this button. Click a color tab in the palette to set the color for a color sweep's control point. New control points can be inserted by clicking on the curved line between 2 control points. To have more precise control over the coloring of the eye, we need to increase the eye's polygon density. To do this, click this button to open the patch's stem node. If we're asked to plug in a stem node, click Yes. See how changing the bands and staves sets the polygon density. Don't set the polygon density too high or you'll make Seamless, depending on the operation, horribly slow at processing. Seams left in the eyes caused by making adjustments to the color sweep and stem nodes can be removed by pressing the keys Ctrl J, which joins close vertices together. To be able to shape our eyes, the eyes need to be inside the head a little more than this. To make it easier to hide or show control cages for the eyes, eyebrows and the black dome, we can group these patches. To do this, click the black hat to hide all the cages and then click to show the cages of the patches we want to group. After selecting the patches with the rectangle selection tool, click Group and then click Done. Now that the patches are grouped, we only need to select one patch to show all the cages for the patches belonging to the group by clicking the bunny in the grey hat. Or, to hide any cages for the patches belonging to the group, we only need to select one patch that belongs to the group and click the grey hat. I find covering some of the white in the eyes with the eye sockets so that we can't see white in the eye all around the irises can greatly improve the appearance of the face. I like to colour the eye sockets with colour sweeps to make the eyes stand out, but because our eye sockets are made of multiple patches, it will make it easier to first merge all the eye socket patches into single patches. To do this, click the Merge Patches button. Clicking this button puts Seamless into Show Patch Border mode. This means we not only see the control cages for the patches, shown in cyan, we also see all the patch edges or borders shown in green, regardless of if they are stitched to other patches. Click on a border where we see 2 matching patches and then click Done. Repeat until we're left with single patches. Now that our eye sockets are single patches, select an eye socket patch, open its control panel, click the Color Sweep button and set the color. Press Ctrl J to join the socket vertices back to the head. Click this button to toggle out of Show Patch Border mode. After applying colour to the eye sockets, we may want to make further adjustments to the cages which will affect the colouring of the eye sockets. Paint mode gives us greater freedom in colouring our character, but bear in mind, unlike when using colour sweeps, colours are lost after operations that regenerate polygons, like inserting control lines into patches. To add glints to our eyes, click the brush button and set the opacity to 0.1. Zoom out until we see the radius of our brush. Depending on the colour of the brush, we may need to change the background colour to help us see the brush radius. Adjust the radius by holding down the Control key while using the mouse wheel. Select white from the palette and click a few times to add the glints. I like to blend in some black into only a portion of the irises. By having the brushes patch field ticked, patches that don't show their control cages in modelling mode are prevented from being painted in paint mode. This can be very useful if, for example, we want to paint a face without painting the eyes. Before we can see our character animate again, because of the new control points added to the head, we must first go into Paint Color Coded Control Points mode, select the head bone and reapply ownership to the head. There, that's not too bad. I like it like that.